more, who is tossing full soda cans at commercial vehicles in Breathitt County? Police are trying to find out before someone gets killed. And the governor makes stops in eastern Kentucky today, awarding grants that should benefit the region.
And it's been a gloomy day, and that looks to continue throughout the overnight hours. First at 4 is next.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, a reward is out if you can tell police who is throwing soda cans at semi-trucks. This happened last Friday and sent one person to the hospital. WYMT's Will Puckett has more from Breathitt County.
The attacks are starting right here at the Breathitt and Wolfe County line along Kentucky 15. Officials say that they believe someone or a group of people are throwing full soda cans at moving semi-trucks. Here are pictures of the damage that's left behind given to us by the Breathitt County Sheriff's Department. This is happening in the early morning hours. A handful of semi-trucks have already been attacked, and officials say they have a working theory of who might be doing this based on the time of day that it's happening.
The hours, 5:30 to 6:30, it could put them as far as Georgetown, reaching Georgetown by 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm looking at possible factory workers, from anywhere from Winchester to Georgetown, Lexington area.
There is a $1,000 reward for information leading to who may be doing this. I talked to the owner of the trucking company who says that a driver was sent to the hospital, but he is okay. In Breathitt County, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Officials do have a few car descriptions that they are working on clearing up. An escaped inmate with Paintsville ties is on the run after Kentucky State Police say he walked away from a work release program. This is Daniel Bell Jr. Police say he was last seen at Brooks Stadium in McCracken County, that's in far western Kentucky, around 5:40 yesterday. Troopers believe he stole a maroon 2000 Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck. The truck has a Kentucky registration of 055 VVX. He may be heading towards Paintsville, but troopers are not for certain. Bell is 6'2" tall, weighs 218 pounds. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. If you see him, you should call Kentucky State Police at 1-270-856-3721. There is a split verdict today in the Harvey Weinstein sexual assault trial. A jury found Weinstein guilty of rape and a criminal sex act for assault. Weinstein never took the stand in his own defense, but maintained any sexual contact with his accusers was consensual. He also faces 4 felony counts of sexual assault in Los Angeles. 2 men are in jail after a string of car thefts in Powell County. Kyler Dunn and Dakota Baker are both charged after police say they stole catalytic converters. Jim Stratman sat down with Stanton police, who say the thefts were unusual.
Sergeant Ian Morton says it's not unusual to hear of a stolen car part from time to time.
It's not uncommon to get 1 or 2 a year, but we were getting a rash of them.
By a rash, he means at least 13 stolen catalytic converters within 2 months in Powell County.
The platinum's worth more than gold, so they can break these things down and get those out of them. And then on the secondhand market, they also do a pretty good penny as well.
Morton says that the thieves would cut the converter off of the car with a sawzall or a reciprocating saw. The whole process could take just a matter of minutes.
And they'll just zip. I mean, in a matter of minutes, they can have one off.
After consulting with other agencies also reporting thefts, Morton says they found a car type that seemed to be a common thread through the investigation, a white Chevy with black wheels.
Based on the timeline, we figured, they're going to be local. They're not going to be somebody that came through, stole something, and left. So we started looking for that vehicle.
And they found it at an apartment complex in Stanton.
And in the rear of that vehicle, they had a speaker, which was similar to the one stolen from the Sons of Liberty theft. And upon making contact with them and consensual search of the vehicle, I located 90% of my stolen equipment from the Sons of Liberty theft. Also, a recently stolen catalytic converter, and their tool of choice, a sawzall.
Kyler Dunn and Dakota Baker were arrested and charged with theft and receiving stolen property. Sergeant Morton says that additional charges for those 2, as well as charges for more people, could be coming.
Jim Stratman, WYMT Mountain News.
It may be months before WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange finds out if he will be extradited to the United States on espionage charges. A lawyer representing the U.S. told the judge Assange is not a free speech champion, but an ordinary criminal who put lives at risk when he published hundreds of thousands of classified U.S. documents. Assange's lawyers argue he would not get a fair trial in the U.S. and fear he would take his own life in prison. The case comes at a delicate time for U.S.-UK relations. The UK left the European Union and is anxious to strike a trade deal with the U.S.
We've been dealing with those soggy and gloomy conditions throughout the day. Got kind of a break, but those are going to move in once again as we head into tonight. We'll go ahead and first take you to a few of those cameras, US 119, US 23 over into Pikeville. You can see it's kind of dried up a little bit over there, but more rain is expected for tonight. Looking along Interstate 75 into Mount Vernon, very wet over there. Those roads could be a little bit slick tonight, so just take it easy out there with that rain falling right now. Looking at Pinpoint Doppler, even some heavier bands down into parts of McCreary, Whitley, Bell, a little bit into Knox County. So we'll just kind of deal with this lighter rain, heavy at times as we head throughout the night tonight. And of course, as we head into tomorrow, see some yellows popping up. They're showing right around 7 o'clock tonight. We'll continue to see those widespread rain chances. Like I said, heavy at times. It's showing right around 11. But notice those temperatures not really changing a whole lot as we head into your Tuesday, really only into about the mid 40s for those lows overnight. Then we get a nice break as we head into tomorrow. Temperatures start to warm up, but then we'll be tracking our next system moving in Wednesday into your Thursday. That'll bring a big cool down and maybe a little bit of snow back into the mountains. I'll have those details coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. Nearly 100 people are losing their jobs in Laurel County following a mass layoff. Conduit Federal Solutions in London is laying off 99 of its workers. The company has a call center. The Kentucky Career Center let us know about the layoffs this afternoon. Governor Andy Beshear made a couple of stops in eastern Kentucky today. He was in Hazard and Jackson, announcing more than $5 million in grants. WYMT's Connor James was in Hazard as the governor made some of those announcements. Connor?
Steve, the Perry County Fiscal Court gets more than $4 million for projects from today's stops. More than $3.5 million will go to renovate the Sykes building and focus on creating jobs, about 200 of those to be exact. Another $500,000 will go to the Route 80 Water Systems Interconnect. Also today, Beshear talked about his attempts to bring back all coal severance money back to the counties in which they come from.
That's about lifting people up, breaking cycles of poverty, and bringing new hope to eastern and western Kentucky. Part of that is that my budget returns every dollar of coal severance after the state's expenses directly to those coal communities.
Now, Steve, there was also another stop in Jackson where he made another big funding announcement. We'll have more on that coming up at 6.
All right, and I noticed here in Hazard a big crowd. Even the cheerleaders came out.
Quite a crowd.
All right, Connor, thank you very much. Again, we'll have more on that coming up at 6. The 2020 Democratic presidential candidates are gearing up for the last critical vote ahead of Super Tuesday, the South Carolina primary. The latest CBS News poll of likely South Carolina voters shows former Vice President Joe Biden's lead there has narrowed, with Nevada caucus winner Senator Bernie Sanders close behind. Community leader Lewis Smith says voters will be paying extra close attention to tomorrow's debate, co-hosted by CBS News.
What I'm looking for in that debate from CBS News is people answering the questions concretely.
Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg, who is not on the ballot in South Carolina, and fellow billionaire Tom Steyer, who is polling third in the state, both qualified for Tuesday's debate. They will take the stage with 5 other candidates vying for the Democratic nomination, and you can see that debate tomorrow night right here on WYMT. In an unusual move in bankruptcy proceedings, the maker of OxyContin created a multi-million-dollar ad campaign to let people know they can file claims against the company. It is over how Purdue Pharma handled the toll of its opioids. The campaign started today to attempt to settle nearly 3,000 lawsuits. Most were filed by state and local governments. Kentucky previously settled with Purdue Pharma for $24 million in 2015. A frequent visitor to the U.S. military base in Daegu, South Korea, tested positive for the coronavirus. Cases in the city, South Korea's 4th largest, quadrupled since Friday. The city is home to more than 2,500 U.S. military servicemen and women. A 61-year-old woman linked to an American soldier at the base tested positive for the virus. In the U.S., people are protesting against plans to quarantine patients in California from the virus-stricken Diamond Princess cruise ship anchored in Japan. Well, let's head over to Wall Street on this Monday afternoon, and it was a very rough start to the week. The Dow closes down more than 1,031 points amid global fears of the coronavirus. Again, the Dow closes down more than 1,000 points today. Katherine Johnson, the pioneering mathematician whose work inspired the film Hidden Figures, died today. In the 1950s and 60s, Johnson was part of what NASA called their computer pool, a group of mathematicians whose computations powered the first successful space missions. Before Johnson retired in the mid-1980s, she mapped the moon's surface ahead of the 1969 landing. She also helped astronauts aboard the Apollo 13 safely land back on Earth. In 2015, President Barack Obama honored her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Johnson was 101 years old. Straight ahead on First at 4, could you survive for a week lost in the woods? We'll tell you the story of an elderly California couple overcoming those odds.
And our next system moves in Wednesday, bringing more rain and maybe even some snow into the mountains. I'll have those details coming up.